we navigate this space as humans, as people who actually care about the world, people who actually care about one another? How do we navigate this space in a diseased mind, the diseased mind of the human race? How do we navigate as one of the only specks of dust inside of the skull of the human mind? How do we navigate surrounded by evil? Because ultimately that's where we are. You may disagree with the following statement, but I personally believe that about 90% of humans on this planet are evil. Do I think that that means that they're nefarious? No. Do I think that that means that they're intentionally evil? No. But I think about 90% of humans, and feel free to disagree, are just straight up evil garbage. And do not pass go directly to jail. That is my opinion on 90% of humans. And to be honest with you, I say 90% because to me, that's a little bit of a compromise. I don't want to make anyone super offended. I genuinely probably would say it's closer to 97%, maybe 98, but let's just round down to 90. It's a nice even number. You know, there's 10% of humans that are worth something maybe, but I think 90% of humans are worthless scumbags. That's my opinion. It may seem like that's a little bit of an extreme opinion, but I'd love to explain why I believe that and what we can do about that in the next 55 minutes. So we live in an evil culture, right? I think we can all agree with that. We live in an evil culture. The culture that we live in is evil. And I'm not just talking about America, although America is the point of the spear of evil in this world. There's plenty of evil across human culture. Just the world around us. Like, you know, we still have countries. We're still at that point in human history. We have countries. We've magically just drawn some dry erase on the dirt and, you know, we fight wars over that. We're still in that phase of human development. So really, if that's the thing that we're in, if we're dealing with that, where we just kill each other for money, something that we invented. So we invented money and then we kill each other over it. Very strange stuff. You know, so when we live in an evil culture, we have to really kind of understand how does that affect us on a human basis, on a spiritual, dare I say, basis? Because I personally believe that every human being, every Homo sapien on this planet, has a potential to go through multiple stages of evolution in their ability to become a self-actualized person, a fully realized human being on this planet that we call Earth. And well, you call it Earth. I don't actually know what it's called. But you might call it Earth. Let me take a sip of coffee here while I think of what to say next. So I think a lot of people, you see this a lot in lefty spaces, not to be confused with this space, but other spaces. Maybe a year or two on this space. But you know, the excuses people give that why people vote for Republicans. You know, oh, they don't know what's going on. Why don't people vote at all? The no voters, you know, the people that just don't vote. Oh, you know, they're too busy working all day. They're working 3, 5, 28 jobs. They can't. Oh, the polling place is too far away. All these excuses that people give for the average person. But think about this. We live in a society where the minimum participation for, you know, in this society is voting. And in America, half the country just doesn't even bother, right? So think about that, right? And we all love to talk about the excuses. You know, they're kicked down by the man. You know, they got 78 million jobs and 15 kids. By the way, how did that happen? Right. How did that happen? Let's not analyze that. So they can't afford to take time out of their day to go vote. And as a result, we live in fuckville, right? I'm not trying to say that, you know, people who somehow can't find the time to vote are necessarily evil. But my point being, we live in an evil culture, a culture that is progressively running toward evil. The moral arc of history bends toward evil. You may have heard something else in history, but that was some fucking bullshit, all right? The moral arc of history, if you go from 10,000 years ago, the start of our historical record, all the way until now, we have gotten worse. We have gotten worse, okay? And I mean that genuinely. I'm not saying that because, like, man, I'm so edgy. I hate the world I live in. But if you look at 10,000 years ago versus now, we have progressively made significant progress in the direction of evil. 15,000 years ago, the concept of special people, kings and queens that deserve everything, wasn't really a thing. And kind of just we all just like, oh shit, we got to go in this cave and hide because it's raining out. All right, let's go. There was no like, oh, only the masters allowed in the cave and we all have to sit out here in the rain. That didn't exist 30, 40,000 years ago, but now it does, right? So in my opinion, the moral arc of history bends toward fascism. It bends toward evil. This strain of evil is one that not only exists in the world, but it exists inside of our minds, because evil just doesn't, spawn into existence, right? It doesn't just, humans are just some wonderful creatures and then boom, God shows up and God is evil and he's like, boom, I'm going to make you eat an apple and now you're an evil son of a bitch. That's not how it works, okay? Maybe that's a nice little fairy tale you can tell yourself. Maybe you could tell your kids that. No offense to the Christians on this network. I know we got a couple, one or two of them. It's a dying species, but there's a couple here. But evil exists in the core of our being, in the core of our mind. What I believe is currently happening in this world, in this human civilization, I believe that what is currently happening is the battle of the one human psyche. A lot of people say that human civilization is one large organism. If you look at mycelium, the fungi, the roots, if you will, of fungus, they can sprawl out for miles, kilometers across the earth. There's one large mycelium, growth in the United States, the country that we currently call the United States, the landmass of North America, that's been growing for thousands of years, that takes over, many thousands of kilometers. And so that's basically how I view humans. We are one species. We are one organism. And what we are experiencing collectively is the crisis that we all experience internally. The crisis of how to be the best person you can. The crisis of how to not just go along to get along. The crisis of how we can actually make a positive impact on the world around us. That is playing out on the grand stage. On the civilizational scale, it is just everyone is a different perspective that we all have individually. I believe that we all have, whatever flowery language you want to call it, but we all have a shadow self, someone that we hide from, the dark parts of us, the things about us that we don't particularly like, but we live in some sort of cognitive dissonance with them. Maybe it's stuff that we used to do that we don't anymore. Maybe it's stuff we still do, like eating ice cream that we really shouldn't be doing, like eating ice cream, stuff that's not good for anybody, like eating ice cream, stuff that you talk about how bad it is on a live show, and yet when the live show's over, what do? You eat some ice cream, right? Something you really shouldn't be doing, and yet you do it anyway. While you're eating the ice cream, you're thinking to yourself, I shouldn't be doing this, and yet you're doing it anyway, right? We all have these struggles in our mind, and these struggles are what's playing out on the grand stage. Now, one thing I will say, this is a large soliloquy to serve as a prologue to what I'm talking about today. But what I want to talk about today is the pressure that you inside of your mind, the pressure that you give yourself to not make any changes, because you may feel like it's the opposite. At least, to me, I'm a mentally ill motherfucker, and we'll get into whatever that means later. But like, there's a pressure that I face internally of do what you want to set out to do. I wake up in the morning, here are my goals, accomplish these goals. And then there's the other pressure of, wouldn't it be nice to just get high, eat ice cream, and lay in bed all day? Right? And then these pressures collapse and collide and create a tornado, hurricane, if you will, inside of the mind, inside of the brain. Well, today I have an obligation. Today I have to appear on a live stream. And so I can't really afford to just get high and eat ice cream all day, although I probably will do that after the show, except I can't do that after the show because I'm actually going to be on Dieter's show later, unless he forgot. He invited me on a show. I'm going to be showing up on Dieter's program. By the way, if you haven't checked out my conversation with Dieter, I believe we posted that on Friday. Go check it out. It was good. The sequel will be happening this afternoon or evening. I don't know. Unless he forgot. In that case, I won't be there. But I don't think he forgot. He seems like someone with a memory. And also today I will be appearing on Left Past 10. tonight. So I can't really afford to just get high and eat ice cream and watch fucking garbage all day today. So that pressure is building. That pressure is mounting in my brain. And, you know, every day that goes by, the pressure grows. The pressure grows. You know, just get high all day and eat ice cream and watch fucking cartoons. All right. That pressure is going to grow. And then I'm going to pop. I'm going to burst, you know, like a fucking abscess that's been deeply rooted in the side of your gums. You know, you wake up and you just go, and there's blood everywhere, right? That's going to be the pressure that's building up in our mind. And that is the pressure that is collectivizing across the planet. The pressure of do what's easy, do what you've been programmed to do, versus use your higher level cognitive abilities to create a better level of programming, right? And so when we live in an evil culture, it's like one strand of hair is causing me immense disarray. When we live in an evil culture, right, and we don't really analyze that evil culture, what happens is that we take on the traits of that evil culture. You know, you may have heard the phrase peer pressure. Peer pressure. Right? What is peer pressure? Right? What is peer pressure? You know, when I was in third, fourth grade, whatever, in an elementary school in central New Jersey, I was given a lecture by police officers that said, you know, if anyone offers you or pressures you to do drugs, just say no. And then we got lectured about the concept of peer pressure and why peer pressure is bad. You know, you may have heard, if your friend told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? Well, I think a lot of people would. They may not admit that they would in casual conversation, but a lot of people, if their friend tells them to jump off the bridge, they'll do it. I think that that's the default. I think that that's the standard. Most people are social creatures. I think everyone is a social creature to some degree. But in an evil culture, in an evil society, a society that is foundational, you know, rather that is founded on evil, to do any sort of peer pressure, especially with the average person, is to succumb to the evil forces inside of your own mind, to lose the struggle internally inside of your mind, inside of your brain. And then that loss transcends your physical person, your individualistic self, and then creates a ripple effect of evil that goes across the entire planet. Now, I may be a little bit, you know, I don't know if this is an easy show to follow. I don't know. I don't really look at the comments. Maybe people are going like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? But I swear to God, I got a point. All right, I got a fucking point here. Let me take some more coffee here. That's right, I'm taking coffee. Yeah, let me do some coffee. Yeah. Yeah, I love doing coffee in the morning. Hell yeah. But we all are programmed, and okay, let me reset that. I think we can all agree that we live in an evil society. I think we can all agree that we live in an evil culture. I think a lot of people, they have this idea that most people deep down are good people. And I tend to agree with that really deep down. Like really deep down. Like you ever see the movie The Descent? Like deeper than that, you know, like really deep down, I think all humans are worthy of something special. And this is when I talk about, you know, again, I mentioned earlier, the cognitive evolution of a self-actualized individual. I believe deep down, the default nature, the state of humanity, when we are born, is to be wondrous, to be curious, to want to see good things to happen in the world, because we want good things to happen to us, and in order for good things to happen to us, we need to inflict good things upon other people. That's what I think the default natural state of humanity is, right? But then when you're born into this world, you're born into an evil society, and that society programs you to be an evil person. And I don't think it's as nefarious as I may be putting it out there. I think most parents are evil. When I say most parents, again, I'm talking about 90, maybe 95% of parents are evil. I personally believe that there is a level of narcissistic disgust that, or at least I am disgusted by, the level of narcissism to even have a child in the current society that we call Earth. Maybe if you had a kid like 20 years ago, I don't know, maybe things were looking a little bit better 20 years ago, but honestly, probably not. If you've had a kid at all in the 21st century, I don't know, man. Hey, I'm just saying, I'm highly skeptical of the decision, and I hope you're doing a great job, right? All the power to you. But again, when we live, and I think we can all agree on this, when we live in an evil culture, in an evil society, and we don't fight back against it every single day we are alive, then the evil consumes us.
Watch this